Welcome everyone to this live stream, in case we are already live, the new YouTube beta studio thing, not amazing. Anyway, so I wanted to share something more work relevant, and actually I wanted to show the other window that comes from too much Alt-Tab. So you know we do this Mac software, among other things, ExactScan, OC, Arcade, Recompress. So we have to deal with all this Apple nonsense, and I wanted to share here some details here on the Apple side, something more instead of vintage stuff. Here's something more related to everyday work. So customer called, sometimes actually customers call to us. Also nice to sometimes talk to them and said, yeah, our recompress is sometimes crashing for them. And now he had a document, recompress is recompressing PDFs, and it's not as stupid as Apple's quartz filter. It's actually really going through all the PDF file and can, because the quartz filter is only scaling the image and recompressing it really stupid and really crappy results. Also, for example, our recompress, if you have a Word document printed to PDF, our recompress can still potentially compress that a little bit and also fine grain all the images individually. And so in other words, it's totally more amazing. So it was crashing, and my first thought was, of course, because the PDF library is from our own, I actually thought maybe this is, oh no, I know where this comes in foreground because I click anyway. So first I thought this is our PDF library, and because that is the first thought that you have when a customer tells you it's sometimes crashing with some PDFs. But then I asked him to send the document and the crash report if he can. And it was really good that I asked him for the crash report, which is what you see on the screen, the Mac OS built-in crash report stuff. Because had I just had only the document, it would probably have worked for me. And he sent the crash report, which is this one. I hope it doesn't include customer data, usually it shouldn't. And you see here, so exception type, bad instructions, sig ill, similar to Linux, elegant instruction 4, and so on. So this, of course, we do not do just-in-time compilation, so illegal instructions either totally corrupted memory whatsoever. Certainly nothing that we produce directly. What is the cause here? In this case, it is actually an assertion. So on macOS, an assertion, when an assertion triggered, so that is usually if a programmer writes there, assert something like assert something is not null, or some pointer is valid, or some range, it's inside some bounds of 0 to n elements or something, whatever the case might be. And it's an assertion. So the assertion is intentionally encoded as an illegal instruction so that it crashes and produces a crash report. And then when you take a look at this, it's not even directly from our code, because this is in NS view. All the NS is back in the day from Next Step. So fun fact, all, I think nearly, not all, but many classes on macOS still start with NS because it's Next Step, and it's still like basically compatible to all the Next Step stuff if you are not using fancy Mac OS stuff from the last 20 years. Anyway, so this is Next Step. View is currently building layer tree for display, not equal currently building layer tree. Function NS view set currently building layer tree for display file. Build root library caches com Apple XPS sources AppKit 1671 50 111 AppKit sub project NS view line 14,221. Yay, amazing stuff. So I have to admit, it's not the first time I see this crash report. Usually I saw it in relation to our ExactScan, our amazing scan program. And the reason I have not really analyzed this further is because if you only get a couple of crashes, which we have 10,000 of users out there, if you just have like 10 crashes, you have other things to do. I have to admit, can't investigate each crash each and every day. However, and the problem is ExactScan is highly multi-threaded, and I assumed that, yeah, something is going there multi-threaded crazy, some things like, yeah, it's a pain to find. Also, so software developed in 2019, right? I have to give Rust at least so much credit that, yeah, we need to solve this. Yeah, it's heavily multi-threaded, and then it's some nanosecond earlier than this, and whatever is going wrong in Apple's amazing libraries. However, so I Googled this a little bit more now, because yeah, this is also, so here are the threads. So we have here some com Apple main thread. This is not in our code, so this main thread is idling there in this NS application next event matching something. So this is not in our code. This is some CV display link. I think this is like synchronizing screen refresh for animation, blitting goodness. Some other com Apple NS event. Also, so you see all those threads on macOS you get not in your own code, but just having the macOS frameworks running without even doing something. Let me just check here our zero-drop frames. Amazing. Also, I should have the ThinkPad here, but my desk is full with vintage shit from last night. Anyway, so all those threads. Here's some other threads that, yeah, so these are actually our, maybe, I guess, maybe our, no, should this be, no, wait a second, not even sure if this is our threads. Anyway, so this thread crashed, and even this one here is not directly necessarily, so I think even this is not our thread. Funny enough, usually it should have a thread name here, but it hasn't, so whatever. So even this is not, you see this is thread start, p thread start body, wait a second, this is calling any thread exit, what? Actually realize this, no, so actually this is exiting already for some reason, and then it's apparently committing this, so this is core animation, I think, transaction commit, so this is apparently committing some animation, and you see this is then doing some commit and run commit handlers, and then NS display cycle flush is certainly flushing all the painted stuff here to the screen and such. You see here NS window display is needed, and then this NS display, if needed, calling NS view set currently building layer tree for display, and that is aborting there with this assertion. And why is this newsworthy? So first of all, I wanted to show if some application crashes like our recompress or exec for that, or certainly this is most likely all of our applications can probably crash in this manner, and it's not necessarily our application's fault, because this crash is new, and you will see in a second that it's most likely new since High Sierra. And so you write perfectly fine code, more or less, I would say. It works for maybe a decade because we're not changing our NS window view display code whatsoever all too often. And then a decade later or two, some company like Apple or Microsoft comes along, they change something in their foundation libraries, and then this stuff starts falling apart. And so most likely we're just doing some normally show window, add some view, set some progress bar, most likely maybe even the progress bar is most likely because our programs are in the meantime all relatively well threaded, multi-threaded, with making use of all this cores and threads and whatnot, all this goodness of modern CPUs. So you make good use of all of those. Maybe this is related to calling the NS progress something in the thread. Certainly all the stuff is multi-threaded, so in some threads all the PDF compression is running, and you call some NS progress whatsoever bar something goodness, and to some value like set percentage 10%, 20%, and then this bloody stuff just crashes in assertions in 2019. So once again, because this is not the first time, maybe in the meantime we have 20, 30, 40 reports over the last 6 or 12 months or something. Again, not that many, but probably this is right now our, with a software company, you always have like 10 open wish list issues, like it would eventually, if we have too much time, if we do not live stream some vintage nonsense, eventually maybe we should look into this. And today is one of those days. So if you're wondering what are we doing all day except developing new amazing code, you're looking in those stupid crashes. Apple not only taking 30%, but also wasting our time with this bloody new assertions that they cause themselves. And then when you Google this, so eventually I found here now something February 6, 2018, also already a year old. I have not found this before, but also Google caches need to update and whatnot to finally find this or something. So other people have the same problem, for example, here in GAPI, whatever that is. Something we are now getting frequent assertions in this exactly same form here. No surprise, there seems to be a prayer when my machine updated to High Sierra, which seemed to be common theme with others having reported this assertion. Here's some more assertions, and you will not believe. So first of all, others have the same observation, High Sierra, and that concurs here to our findings that some people, and also, you know, it happens sometimes, like when the moon is at the right location with the sun and whatsoever, the Mac is slow or thermal throttling or too fast or I don't know what, that the animation doesn't end before the thread ends or whatever bullshit there. Also amazing software design, right? And why do I call this out? To show you what kind of stuff developers have to waste their time with, how not to write frameworks. Do not write frameworks that with some animation, tree building, whatsoever, you crash the vendors, the user's application, just because you don't have your own animation layer building stuff under control. And you see also a year later, so Apple has not fixed this in a year now. And so I will try to fix this today, not really sure. Again, I don't really know why this happens, except like maybe something multi-threaded, maybe something like a progress indicator updated in a thread. If you click here on this fix, you will not believe what fix this for GAPI fix OS X crash on High Sierra. This one-liner magically, yes, magically, this is how we do software in 2019. And if you wonder why do I do a YouTube channel, because after 2 decades I'm really sick of this magic work. This is how we do software. And for all the hate hate or criticism we give to Rust and Cargo more specifically, yeah, we need more memory, thread safe stuff. That stuff does not magically crash in 2019. Fixes and assert deep in the depths of the macOS framework. Don't ask me why. Fixes Google issue, I guess 1593 or something. So yeah, how do they fix this? So you see, this is just forcing. So this is some M context. So this M, like my instance constack, whatever this context, probably yeah, some Cocoa quartz, whatever context there, set view, or maybe the window, some view, whatever, set view, M window content view. So the only thing they do here is M window display. So what this does is this forces the window to draw all this marked as defect areas of content to be drawn and like rendered and blitted and drawn and flushed to the screen. Likely what I just analyzed or went through in our application in this call stack of macOS that you saw there. So most likely the issue is similar, that if you do not force this here at this point, maybe this is a thread, this is in GAPI CC OS X GLES renderer.mm, so Objective-C++. And so most likely the issue is similar here, that it crashes randomly at some point because it's then done in some thread, or this is some thread, and then when the thread ends or whatever, I have not analyzed their code entirely, but yeah, the issue is similar. So they just like work around or magically fix it by forcing this content to be drawn and not the layer tree stuff built in a thread or something, or asserted on in a thread finalizer. But yeah, certainly not amazing stuff, and really sad that yeah, Apple is just breaking code randomly, decade-old code that worked before, and just another case of vendors like Apple, Microsoft doing random stuff and wasting thousands of developer hours worldwide with all the applications, hunting this random crashes and fixing them magically. Not amused, not amazing. I really wish we would have more amazing software architecture in 2019 to give Apple some credit. In my opinion, the Microsoft frameworks are way worse, especially I had friends working at Microsoft in Seattle. Should probably not talk too much about this, but I heard from some people, maybe not necessarily them, but so I heard from some people in the industry, actually also from some friends in Berlin who do some Microsoft program, and their bugs, how their bugs are dealt with. And often at Microsoft, apparently because they do not want to cause bugs for all the millions of software out there, often they just work around bugs. If you submit a bug with some case of where some UI stuff is not behaving well, often what they do, if they eventually fix something at Microsoft, they often work around something just with a specific set of values. So they might special case, like if some special value then do something special, which is of course usually not the right way to fix something. And beside the Windows APIs are much more annoying to work with to start with. But yeah, this is really why we have developed our own Lua cross-platform runtime. The reason we are not using this, so fun fact, actually Recompress is like 90% using our new Lua cross-platform framework. The only reason we are the Windows and Linux version are entirely our own Lua runtime stuff that I've already leaked a little bit in previous videos. The reason we are not using this on macOS is for the look and feel. So on macOS we have actually done a very small sim. It's just a couple of window and buttons anyway, a couple of settings. So we have a very thin shim there, mimicking all the buttons there in this bloody interface builder, and then just call those set of configuration values into our Lua runtime just for the 100% Mac look and feel. And also we have some blind users or visual impaired or blind users, especially in ExactScan. So we would actually love to ship ExactScan, our new portable version for Mac, but we have not voiceover support, and we have some visual impaired or blind users actually with ExactScan. So we can't do this until probably we add some in our own Lua runtime stuff, some support for voiceover, because certainly we want to help those blind and similar users in their daily life and not ruin their workflow and voiceover support and stuff like that. So for that reason, the Mac version probably the next couple of years stays that way. But yeah, it's of course not amazing that we have to deal with such random crashes, and that most likely not even entirely directly our own fault, but just happen in this threading, multi-thread situation there. And yeah, so I now will probably try to add some forced display stuff similar to this to our ExactScan, and hope that eventually, if I find the right spots, this crashes magically go away as well. Leave me in the comments below what you think. By the way, we didn't have any interesting, I hope audio works, not really had here any comments in the audience. Yeah, I also forgot from last live stream, I forgot my USB-C dongle still at home, so this is why I have the ThinkPad here in the corner. The next a little bit annoying to look at the side, but too much vintage stuff on the desk and need to get work done. Anyway, no comments in your audience. If you have a comment, leave it now. Otherwise, I hope you have an amazing day, and if you watch this later in the archive video on demand recording stuff here, then leave in the comments below what you think to the situation here. What are your findings for APIs on Mac and Windows, or Qt and GTK Plus or whatever, and what are your impressions to the state of software development in 2019, and what random crashes and AP nonsense had you to deal with. Otherwise, I hope you learned something, and don't forget to share, like and subscribe for all the next amazing software development microkernel vintage videos to come.